Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Josie Nealand. Today we're going to talk about why you might get super judgy about how other people look. And very specifically here, this is for a lot of women judging other women on how they look. So this can apply to anybody, any gender, but why you might feel super judgy about how other women look is something that people ask me all the time. And I've kind of boiled it down into three things. So the first thing that could be going on if you find yourself like looking around the world and being like, oh, she shouldn't wear that, or that looks unflattering, or wow, she needs to lose weight, like any of these sort of body judgy thoughts that tend to come up for people. The first thing that could be going on is you feel emotionally unsafe around this person. Now, this would mostly be when you're interacting with someone, less so like a random person on the street, sometimes though. Feeling emotionally unsafe around someone is that feeling of like, I don't know if they're going to like me. I don't know if they're going to reject me. I think that I don't belong with them, or they don't accept me, or maybe they would talk about me behind their back. Whatever it is, that's that feeling of like, I don't know if I'm emotionally safe with this person. I don't know if they like me. What happens a lot is everyone feels this way, particularly women who are totally conditioned to feel like we are each other's competition instead of each other's like cheerleaders and teammates. So what happens is, let's say we're at a party and a bunch of women are sort of meeting and mingling. And there is this feeling that everyone thinks the other women don't like them or aren't emotionally safe. Everyone approaches other women like, you're probably going to be catty, you're probably going to be judgy or critical, or, think that something negative about me. So everyone's kind of got that energy going in. And then that energy itself makes everyone else feel sort of similarly, when you're sort of like withholding and you're like, I don't know if you're safe, you put out a little bit of a colder energy, which is then, of course, picked up by other insecure people as, oh, I don't know if you're safe, right? So what happens a lot is you don't feel emotionally safe with somebody. And for whatever reason, this allows your brain to go to a super critical place. Meaning you are able to then suddenly look at that person and tear them apart with ease. Now, this doesn't happen to everybody, but it is really common. It's extremely difficult to tear apart somebody's appearance who you adore. Like, think about it. It's so hard to look at your best friend or your child or your dog, they're like anybody that you really adore. Pretty much no matter how they look, like you're into it. You might have preferences. You might be able to see like, oh, you're sick today. You don't look very good. But the idea that you would tear them apart in that way seems sort of like really foreign. It's a really bizarre idea. Like, why would I do that? They're so lovely. Whereas when those are people you feel emotionally safe with, right? When it's somebody you feel emotionally unsafe with, it's super easy. There's that instant distance. It's like, me versus them. There's a sort of enemy kind of quality. And all of a sudden you're like, meep, meep, meep. You can totally tear them apart. And of course, you've got like decades of beauty culture and diet culture in your head, all that subconscious conditioning just ready to give you, every women's magazine ever is like, look at this supermodel's embarrassing cellulite. It's easy to draw upon when you're in that place. And that place is emotionally unsafe. So the first thing I would say is if you notice yourself really feeling insecure around a lot of other women, often, particularly if it goes to that judgy place and you're like, I just, I don't like how these people look or how they dressed or what their bodies are, whatever the judgy thing is, check in with yourself. Do you feel emotionally safe with these people? And if not, what does that mean? Because sometimes you might not feel emotionally safe with anybody. And that means there's stuff to work on for you. Sometimes it's because the person actively made you feel unsafe. Like you might, for a good reason, feel unsafe around somebody because they make comments that are judgy and critical, either about you or about other people. I know personally, I always feel the most insecure around people who I hear talk about other people behind their back. It just gets you in that kind of paranoid place. You're like, I'm pretty sure when I leave, they're doing that to me. It's like, they're thinking judgy thoughts, which makes them kind of emotionally unsafe. You don't know where you stand with them, or if they're being real with you, or if you're secure in that relationship, which is uncomfortable. So those are the times in which your brain is most likely going to go to the place of judginess, tearing them apart, thoughts that are like totally inappropriate around fat phobia, or, just critical of body or appearance or whatever it might be, sometimes personality too, that's what's going to happen. So just pay attention. If that's you, that is one of the most common reasons that women tend to be super critical of other women. Another reason you might find yourself really critical or judgmental about other people or other women is that they are breaking a rule that you kind of hold as sacred. And a lot of this has to do with beauty and body stuff. Like if you learned at some point in your body image journey, your conditioning around bodies, that only women with flat bellies should wear crop tops. That's the rule. You don't wear crop tops because you don't have a flat belly. You're following the rule. And then you see a woman with a big juicy belly hanging out in a crop top on the street. That might be a moment where you look at her and you judge her and you're like, ugh, why is she wearing that? That looks terrible. It's some critical thing comes up. What just happened is she broke a rule that you have been following, which throws your entire reality into weird questioning. Like, is that not a rule? If not, why don't I get to wear a crop top? I would like to wear a crop top and look all confident on the street, but no, I'm following the rules. So it does a weird thing when you've been holding certain rules, usually subconsciously, but like as sort of sacred, like you cannot break this, any number of things. If you're pear-shaped, you can't wear this kind of jeans. If you're apple-shaped, you have to always wear black because it's slimming. Like all these rules tend to be broken by people who just decided that they want to wear what they want and then trigger some shit inside of you. So if that's coming up, just pay attention because you can get a lot of information just by noticing when you're being judgy and critical, because it shines a light on what rules they're breaking, which shines a light on what rules you've been following. Which, by the way, there are no rules. This isn't a real thing. There are literally no rules about how a person can or should present themselves, have a body, wear stuff, do their hair or makeup. Like, all of it is made up. So if you want to do something, you should do it. There's actually no rule stopping you. But what happens a lot of times for people who are super judgy and critical of other women's appearances is they themselves are following a ton of rules. And it's stressful. It's like every morning you got to think through 50 rules as you get dressed, what goes with what and what's flattering and what. So like that becomes kind of a resentment thing. You look at someone else who didn't go through that whole thing this morning. They're just wearing whatever they want. It doesn't follow any of the rules and it kind of pisses you off. You're like, what the hell, man? I thought we all agreed we had to be stressed out and do all of this extra mental labor every day. And you're breaking the rule. You're not doing it. Makes me mad. So that can also be a thing that's coming up. So pay attention and just notice who is making you mad? Who is bringing out this criticism and judgment? And a lot of times this is more for, a person you see on the street or in the park or, whatever, a coworker, less so your friends sometimes. But this tends to be something where you just see it in the world and you're instantly like, ugh. And you're not usually thinking to yourself, like, how can they break this rule that I follow? You're usually just thinking like, that looks terrible. So that's that judgy thing. But get curious about it, because a lot of times that looks terrible is actually, I'm pissed because you're breaking a rule that I don't want to be following, but I feel like we have to. And you being all free and confident in your ability to get dressed and have a body, it feels like an assault on my reality, an attack on my entire worldview about what we're supposed to be doing and the rules we're supposed to be following. And this can be true about any kind of confidence too. Pay attention if confident women bring this up and make you feel especially critical, because sometimes the rule they're breaking is just, we're supposed to be insecure. And just by virtue of having confidence or seeming to like themselves, if they are bringing up criticism and judginess for you, then that's probably the rule you've been following, is to not like yourself, as if it's better or you're supposed to, or you have to not like yourself. You have to feel insecure. So this is another of the big common rules, or the big common reasons, I should say, that you might find yourself being super judgy. The last thing that could be going on when it comes to being super judgy in your mind about how other people look is there's an envy or jealousy component that's getting distorted into judgment. Now, this does kind of overlap with feeling emotionally unsafe, but you can also be jealous or envious of something with somebody you feel safe with, right? Like maybe your best friend has gorgeous hair, and every time you see her, you love her, and you're not necessarily being like mean in your head about her, but you just have that pang of like, ugh, like or, I wish my hair looked like that. And maybe there's a criticism or a judginess that kind of comes on the tail end of that, or it just brings up a little bit of resentment or negativity in you. And that just might be like, I love that hair. I want that hair, or she has something about her personality or about her appearance that I wish I had. So when this is the case, it's really useful to just turn it around, again, get curious and look at what can you learn about what you're really wanting? Because it's not hair. We don't ever really just want the physical trait. We want what that physical trait gets us, or what we imagine that physical trait would get us. And that is something that you need some clarity on, because a lot of times you can go after that thing more directly and totally disempower the physical trait itself. For example, if you're like, I wish I had that flat stomach so that I could wear crop tops. Again, going back to the first one, you can just wear crop tops. You can, literally you can. No matter what your belly looks like, you can, I promise you. And by doing so, by facing that fear and breaking that rule and whatever, you disempower the whole idea that, oh, she has freedom in her body because she's got a flat belly and I'm so jealous of it because I don't have that. Because now you just basically gave yourself freedom. I mean, you might be uncomfortable. That's what fear facing is, always going to be super uncomfortable, especially at first, but you actually have that freedom. So whatever it is you think they have freedom, or, maybe attention from potential partners, or a happier life or an easier life or more respect, whatever it is you think they get because of something about them, how they dress, how they look, the kind of body they have, sometimes personality things, that might be kind of getting distorted into judgment. So be curious, be compassionate towards yourself. Everyone gets so mad at themselves for being judgy. Everyone who talks to me about this is like, I feel so bad. Why am I like this? Be kind, be compassionate. The fact that you're judgy, it makes sense. Like we're really looking at what's going on here. It's not just you being a jerk, not a jerk for no reason. There's always something going on. So I invite self-compassion in this space. Know that it's normal. Know that it's even okay. It doesn't make you a bad person, but it does point towards something. And in this example, it points towards something that you want, that you're craving, an unmet need, maybe. Like if you're craving acceptance or respect, that might be something you want to go after more directly in a different way. Like find different people who accept you, or, start learning boundaries and standing up for yourself so that there is more respect in the relationships in your life. As opposed to saying, if only I had longer, nicer legs, everybody would respect me or accept me or whatever, because that's what tends to happen. Is there's that sort of feeling of like, they're going to get all the attention that I want. So now I'm emotionally unsafe, which of course makes me like resentful. And now I'm criticizing everything about them. This is something that comes up a lot when women will say, she's not even that pretty. It's like maybe somebody happens to think this person is really attractive, and then you meet them for the first time and you know that already going in. Maybe you're a little jealous, maybe you're a little envious, maybe you feel emotionally unsafe, you're not really sure where you stand with this person, maybe you're afraid they're going to like steal your partner, any number of things could be going on. But a lot of times what that turns into is just this line, she's not even that pretty. And really what it is resentment, right? And like defensiveness. So the other thing I would say about this is pay attention to what it is that she has that you want. And if it's something you can go get directly, please go get it directly. It will be so much easier for everyone. The other thing is try connecting with her. Try putting yourself in a position with this person who makes you feel emotionally unsafe. Again, not if it's someone who's actively, consciously making you unsafe. That I'm not saying like make yourself vulnerable to people who are jerks to you. But if it's somebody that you just met and you're feeling that kind of like, ugh, I don't even know, you're not even that pretty. You think you're all that or whatever. Try putting yourself in a position of connecting with that person more vulnerably, more authentically, more intimately, like really let them see you and try to see them, because that kind of connection tends to make us feel safer. And I just can't even count how many times I have done this and clients have done this where they're like, oh my God, I was so sure you like hated me. But it actually turns out you were feeling insecure and I was feeling insecure and now we're friends. Once you really put the work into that warm connection and make the other person feel safe, a lot of times they will do the same for you. And all of that insecurity and judginess will just sort of melt away. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, they're the best. She's so great. Whereas like 10 minutes before you're like, she's not even that pretty. But then as soon as you find out that she likes you and was just feeling really insecure because, she heard that you were so close of a friend to her other friend, these things happen constantly. So just check in with yourself. Don't judge the fact that you're being judgy, but notice it. Pay attention. See if it's one of these three things going on. And if so, bring some curiosity into it and go the direction that hopefully will make it happen less and less often. Because it's bad for you and your body image if you're judging other people's appearance all the time, because it makes you feel super paranoid that everyone is doing that to you, which they're not. Only insecure people pretty much are doing that to you. So it's their problem. This is your problem. We get to work on ourselves and not worry too much about what anybody else is thinking or judging or criticizing in their heads about us or how we look. And this is the way to do that. Really bring awareness to what the hell's going on for you when you are just picking people apart or, thinking negative critical thoughts about how they look. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If this was helpful, please leave a comment, hit like, hit subscribe, turn the notifications on. I'm so happy to have you here, and I'll see you next time.